What's up, techies? It is time to review the LG G4. I've had the G4 for about 1 month now, and I must say that I can't wait to get rid of it. So much for the fact that I'm actually going to be trading this for a Galaxy S6 probably tomorrow with somebody here locally. If that doesn't give away about what I feel about this device, let's keep on talking about it. I guess we could call this the real user review. I paid for this using my own money. I bought it off of Swappa. It's a great place to go buy these phones. But I also have been using this as my daily driver for a month straight. And I must say, even though I had a lot of gripes with the Galaxy S6, I would definitely prefer the S6 over this phone. So let's go ahead and get all the stuff I don't like about the phone out of the way, then I can talk about what's good about it. Now, these items are in no particular order. They're just a list of things that I don't like about this phone. First of all, the battery life is pretty bad on this thing. With normal use throughout the day and even at work when I'm not using it as much as I would if I were home on the weekend using it or whatever the case might be, I would definitely start to have to charge this thing about 3 or 4 o'clock at best. And I was really expecting better battery life from this phone than I was with the Galaxy S6. So that really surprised me quite a bit. Like, I would say I got like an extra 30 minutes to an hour extra battery life over the S6. Now, obviously, all those kind of factors depend on how you use the phone, but this thing, man, it just would die on me pretty much every day if I didn't charge it. I would have to definitely charge it by the time I got home. Put it this way, it leaves the charger about 7 o'clock in the morning, and then I'm using it throughout the day, and then about 2 or 3 o'clock, it's getting to be about 20%. So I have to end up charging this thing at work, which is fine. I have an environment where I can do so. But if I wasn't in that sort of environment, I would definitely need that extra battery that they were offering with that promotional deal. Speaking of which, it is no wonder that they were giving the batteries away for free, because they knew that their customers were going to need that extra battery because the battery life was so bad. Since we're on the subject of the promotion, they also offered a free leather back. Now, the leather back, yeah, it's leather, but it's like a plastic leather. It just does not feel authentic whatsoever. Although it is better than the actual back that the phone comes stock with. With that said, they should have made the leather backs the stock back, not this cheap stuff that they put on the back of them. It's just not worth it to me. If they were giving away these things for free, why not just make it stock in the first place? While we're talking about the backs, let's just take it off so you can kind of see what it looks like. You do get a removable battery and an SD card slot. Once you get the leather back on here, you're like, why did they not include this in the first place? When you put this leather back on there, it gives such a better premium feel. I'd say it doesn't give me the same feeling like I got with the S6, but it does give me a much better feeling than rocking this guy. While we're talking about the backs, this is also something else that is disappointing to me. The only thing that this includes is the NFC chip. Why not just include the wireless charging as well? Because if you think about it, this cheap Amazon case that only cost about $10, maybe $15 on Amazon, includes the wireless charging adapter and the NFC. So if you want wireless charging, you're going to go out and get at least the adapter or a case like this. So to me, they really gypped people from having that wireless charging experience. Now, wireless charging is not a deal breaker to me, but with having the availability that they could have actually put that on here, it really just makes it a negative to me. Another thing that I really don't like about this phone is the screen. Now, it's not so much the resolution and the clarity, that is great, but this thing will dim out on me whenever it wants to. And that's because it gets hot, which is another subject I'll touch in just a second. Basically, when this phone gets warm or hot, it'll kick the brightness down to 70 or 80%. Now, I know that's a safety precaution, but there shouldn't be that bad. This happens to me on a regular basis throughout the day. And that's just from using the phone from normal stuff. It's ridiculous. Moving on to performance, because of how the brightness was being affected, it's because this phone does get warm and hot throughout the day. Now, goodness gracious, if this thing gets into 3G coverage, and I'm using Verizon, and it's very rare that this thing ever does go into 3G coverage in the area that I'm in, this thing, I might as well shut the phone off because the battery will just drain. It will just suck up the battery life because it's getting warm, because it's overpowering itself. There's just not a good hardware-software ratio or mix. They have not matched this thing up with the software and hardware. Now, this thing will perform okay, but my goodness, when it starts to just lag at any bit, it just locks up. It's just very frustrating that if I just want to go do some normal task, like go to my web browser or something like that, or track a package, check the weather, look at Facebook, all just the normal stuff that you do on a smartphone, this thing will get so laggy and it's frustrating. It will happen about 2 to 3 times a day. And Lord forbid if I start watching some videos, this thing will just go to crap on me. I'm not saying it's like the worst experience, but it's just when it happens, it's so bad. Most of the time it's working pretty good, but when it happens, you just want to throw this thing against the wall. The last thing I want to talk about as far as the negatives go is the sound quality. It's pretty rough. The speaker, for one, it's on the back. It's not a good location to me. I need it to either be on the bottom or on the front. That's obviously a preference, but it's just beginning to the point where speakers on the back is just jank. It's just not good. And I don't know if it's just my unit, but this thing gets extremely loud and it gets extremely blown. It's pretty rough. And so we're talking about lag. You can see that lag right there. I got pretty much full bars with 4G LTE and it still loads it pretty slow. It could be the YouTube app, but who knows. Let's go to one of my videos and I can kind of show you what the sound quality is like. We'll go to this video, one of my recent favorites. Okay, so I'm going to increase it as I go. Yeah, so today was some pretty cool, exciting news for iPhone users. You can now pair Android Wear with your iPhone. Now that's actually pretty exciting for a number of reasons. One, if you're not digging the Apple Watch, you now have an option. So I don't know if you could hear that, but the speaker was literally rattling. And honestly, you can have this thing cranked down to about halfway, and it's just loud enough. Like, I've never seen a speaker get so loud. But if it's going to get loud, it needs to be good. It's crappy. It's probably one of the worst things about this phone to me. Now, all those factors are pretty much what I don't like about the phone, so we can go ahead and move on into what I do like about the phone. So going back to the screen looks pretty good to me. It's really fun to watch videos. It's got that slightly curved screen, so you kind of get that nice little effect as well. It's somewhat, for the most part, okay in sunlight. Nowhere near as good as what Galaxy devices are rocking these days. But you can see it in daylight if you need to. But like I said, nowhere compared to like what a Galaxy S6 does. I do like the 5.5 inch screen. The 5.5 inch is basically like the minimum of what I prefer. If it's any bigger, up to a 6 inch, that's fine. 5.7 is my favorite, something that you would see like on a Note device or the upcoming Moto X Pure Edition. But the 5.5 inch, that's something I can really navigate with one hand. You can see me kind of doing a lot of things here. I got bigger hands, so I'm able to reach up into corners without really messing around with trying to scoot the phone up or down like you have to like with the Nexus 6. But this is easy to navigate. That's something I do appreciate about the 5.5 inch screen, not to mention the small bezels. We can move on to the camera now, which is one of my favorite features about this phone. It's arguably one of the best smartphone cameras on the market today. Put it this way, I have used the camera in many of my videos that I've done lately for this channel. The video and the audio quality is actually just really good, and it's nice for just good typical reviews that I like to do on the channel. As far as performance goes, it's snappy enough. It could be a little bit quicker, and I normally keep it on the auto setting. I don't really go into most of the settings that you could get into this. There's a manual settings to get into like DSLR, somewhat kind of effects. This also has a really nice selfie shooter. You can actually take really good video and pictures with the front-facing camera. One of the cool things that they did this year, it's a little different from what they did last year. You used to be able to just hold down the button here on the LG G3, but if you double tap, it'll launch the camera. And for the most part, it's pretty quick. Going back and forth between the front and the rear facing camera is pretty easy with just a swipe, or you can hit the button at the top and it'll swap it for you too. You get all the nice bells and whistles with this camera. It's very nice. It's, like I said, one of the best that you can get on the market today. So there you have it. This is pretty much my hate and love list about the LG G4. Let me add one more thing. I can't stand the name of it. It is so awkward to say LG G4, to say G back to back. It's just annoying. I don't know. I hate to dog on a phone so bad, but I've just not really had a good time with this phone. Like I did with other phones, I would say I enjoyed the LG G3 better than I did the G4, and that shouldn't happen. It should be a better experience when you get the latest device. It just doesn't make sense to me. It really seems like this year, 2015, Android really dropped the ball on the hardware software aspect about how they're supposed to mix well together. And they just didn't really do it well this year. I mean, let's face it. I've heard a lot of good things about the Note 5. I've actually got one on order. Stick around for content about the Note 5. But also, I'm really hoping that the Moto X Pure Edition has a good combination. It's really like the last hope that we have, apart from maybe some Nexus devices to come out this year. Everything else is released. So we have only a couple more devices to go to make up for the lack that these other Android companies like LG and Samsung have done. They just need to really get their stuff together for next year. So I'm sorry if you're an LG fanboy, but this phone just didn't do it for me. I know I can't be the only one that's experienced some of the stuff that I have with this phone, so let me know down in the comments if you've had any trouble with the LG G4, and well, I guess if you haven't, let me know as well, and let me know what your experience has been like. Thanks guys for watching. Be sure to stick around to the channel for more content like this, and until then, stay techie.